Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm a little gimpy today. I freaking sprained my knee or something jumping off a thing yesterday. Stupid. Anyways, happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well out there in the world. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest, the largest, and the only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. We've been around for 18 years now. We've been featured on 60 Minutes in the New York Times and Fox News and MSNBC and CNBC, all the NBCs. We've done a few things, guys. Suffice it to say, we are a strictly human being organization. We have no formal legal structure, by the way. A lot of people ask that sometimes. We are a true grassroots group. We are only normal people fighting for student loan justice. That means two things. The most important thing that means to everybody, whether you would ever or never file, is the return of bankruptcy rights to student loans. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. I get that. If you're new to the group, you're like, I don't want to file for bankruptcy. Yeah, nobody does. It lies at the core of the entire student loan problem. We're also fighting for student loan cancellation. Don't get me wrong. In fact, this group started the push for the for the cancellation of all federally owned student loans by executive order. It's a very interesting wrinkle there because unlike canceling student loans through Congress, which is incredibly expensive and stupid, the president can cancel all federally owned student loans, which is 90% of all student loans, without needing congressional approval, without needing a dime from the Treasury, without adding a penny to the national debt. So, and I'll talk about this later, but in terms of stimulating the economy, like especially compared to PPP loans, right? Because PPP loans were incredibly expensive. They required money to be drawn from the Treasury, money to be added to the national debt, and those people never paid a dime on those PPP loans. Well, student loan borrowers have paid and paid through the nose. In fact, nearly the entire, or maybe even the entire federal student loan portfolio at this point is essentially profit. So the people have repaid the original amount borrowed on balance. But guys, the most important thing I'm going to tell you is that we're not going to get student loan cancellation unless and until we get the leverage of bankruptcy rights returned to the loans. That may not sound obvious to you at first glance, but please believe me, I've been doing this for 18 years now. I've been living and breathing this nonsense. And it is very true that we'll be begging Joe Biden or the next president forever to cancel loans. And as long as the constitutionally enshrined threat of bankruptcy remains gone from the loans, we're going to get like this nonsense that we've already seen from Joe Biden, this up to $10,000 or up to $20,000 nonsense. It's nonsense, guys. We don't care which way that Supreme Court ruling goes, quite frankly. And I can talk about that if you have any questions or comments and you're watching this on either Twitter or Facebook. By all means, throw out your questions and comments. And if I can see them, I'll very happily read them aloud. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to ask and answer a couple questions. Number one, will canceling student loans stimulate the economy? And number two, will canceling student loans cause inflation? And the media, all the stuff you see in the news is just almost complete spin from our opposition. 98% of the media is just nonsense. So let's start with, I guess, the first question first. Will canceling student loans stimulate the economy? Yes, obviously, it will absolutely stimulate the economy. And really, those are kind of both the inflation and the student loan stimulation question, economic stimulation question, are kind of two sides of the same coin. It's kind of useful to talk about them along in the same sentences together. But first of all, $100 billion a year in interest is sucked out of the national economy and sent largely to the books of Washington, D.C. because of the federal student loan program. The average student loan borrowing household was paying before the pandemic around $400 a month on their student loans. That's sucking a lot of money out of the economy. So would canceling student loans stimulate the economy? Yeah, obviously it would. It would give household borrowers $400 a month more on average to spend in the economy. So people could do stuff like buy houses and start businesses and all the things that we like to stimulate the economy to do, like through the very expensive PPP loan program. But our opposition, they go, oh, it's going to cause inflation. No, and that's the second part. Will canceling student loans cause inflation? And the answer was a little more controversial before the pandemic, but now the answer is unequivocally no. Canceling student loans really can't cause inflation anymore, because think about it. Almost nobody's been paying on their student loans for 3 years now. So any increase in inflation that would result from canceling the loans, it already happened. And quite frankly, I think that's just a nonsense argument anyways, because, not having to make payments on these loans has indeed given people on average $400 a month that they could spend on other things. But ladies and gentlemen, the inflation that we've seen in this country, and believe me, it was not caused by the payment moratorium, only maybe a tiny, tiny, tiny part of it. That inflation was caused by gas, by oil prices, and maybe you have some thoughts here, but have you noticed how people are these revisionist historians, like recent historians, are saying, oh yeah, thing that caused the inflation was too many dollars chasing around too few goods and blah, 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 blah. That's bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. I was there. So were you. Remember when the whole gas market went fucking bizarro and all of a sudden the prices went from like $0 per barrel in like April, May, June 2020 to all of a sudden at the price at the pump was like $5-6 a gallon? It was the price of gas that caused inflation. No, you're not crazy. And by the way, there was also a supply chain disruption that was baked into that cake in a blockage in the, what was the, was it the Suez Canal, I believe. Suez Canal was blocked for months and months because of a large container ship had sort of jackknifed itself there. So yeah, guys, it was the price of gas that caused inflation. It wasn't the student loan repayment moratorium. And our opposition are just shameless headline chasers trying to use fear words across the internet and the mainstream media to try and scare people. Oh, student loan cancellation is going to cause inflation. But think about it, guys. Nobody's been paying for 3 years. If they were to cancel the loans entirely today, all that would mean is that nobody would pay for an infinity number of years. So nothing would change. There wouldn't be a whole bunch of new dollars injected in the economy that people could run out and spend. And not only that, even increased borrowing capacity, which would be a thing, that has also been mitigated because of the inflation that we've already seen, which was caused by, I say, fuel prices by and large, but also some supply chain issues. So to say that canceling student loans will cause inflation is just batshit crazy. Pardon my French, but it is. It's batshit crazy, and it's just spin. It's just PR that people like Anthony Nato, the CEO of SoFi, likes to throw out again and again and again. You know, that asshole. He was lobbying Congress very hard to turn loans back on. I'm sure he still is. But in a 2-page memo that somehow got leaked that he and his buddies wrote, they mentioned inflation literally 10 times in 2 pages as part of their argument for why they need to turn the federal student loan repayments back on. So guys, don't even trip. And not only that, you know, we are headed into probably a very rough economy. You know, home sales fell by like 25% year over year this year to last year. And it looks like that's just kind of the beginning of that cascade. So canceling student loans, and I'm not talking about $10,000 or $20,000. That's fucking nonsense. Canceling all federally owned student loans. And that, frankly, I think is almost inevitable at this point. I mean, the loans will not be paid, guys. Very few people will ever resume paying on the federal student loans. Even before the pandemic, 60% of everyone had stopped paying. Now that's going to go up to 80, 90%. But, you know, canceling student loans could save the economy. In fact, you know, nobody's buying homes right now. Well, if you cancel student loans and give people a new lease on their lives, they can start doing things like buying homes, like buying cars, like starting businesses. So yes, the answer to the first question is yes. Canceling student loans absolutely, obviously will stimulate the economy. And number 2, no. Canceling student loans is not going to add to inflation. For all intents and purposes, the loans have already been canceled as far as what the economy sees. Nobody's been paying for over 3 years now. So that will continue. So will prices suddenly rise? No, it's not like there's new money injected in the economy. No. So I hope that's clear. I tried to be clear in explaining that. Sometimes I'm not clear, but I think I was pretty clear there. Let me know your thoughts. So a couple of announcements. Number 1, on the fundraising thing, I think we still need 7 people to donate $10 or more. And you can see the donation link down there. I think studentloanjustice.org/donate. That's to meet our expenses that are coming up tomorrow. Hopefully I'm not going to have any medical expenses coming up because of my knee. I hope. So stupid. But I also want to just urge everybody, we've got to make this a very strong week coming up, guys. This is when some of the most important moves in the student loan battles are made, sort of when the lights are off and the cameras are away. These are when some of the most important things happen. When the swamp people, the cockroaches in Washington, D.C., trot out some of their worst tricks. So this is not the time to be kicking back and waiting and watching and worrying and wondering what they're going to do. Now is the time for us, the people, to be making things happen. So the most important action item I have for you tonight, guys, is do our daily actions. And let me just dial that in for you. We do daily actions nearly every day, guys. We're the largest citizens group in the country on this issue. I kid you not. At least on paper, we've got 1.4 million people. That's across our petition and our Facebook group and our email platforms and our other internet platforms, et cetera, et cetera. But guys, with 1.4 million people doing our daily actions, this problem would be solved in a matter of months, like not even. We would overwhelm the phone banks of every congressman that we target in Washington, D.C. We would overwhelm the Twitter accounts. I'm sure we'd make national news. If 1.4 million people retweeted something to Joe Biden to cancel loans, that would make national news. So, guys, we are a massive, untapped muscle. Big muscle. We have big muscles to flex, guys. We are the largest untethered political voting bloc in modern U.S. history. I kid you not, guys. There are something like 38 million distressed, meaning they're losing sleep over their loans, distressed federal student loan borrowers in the country. And there are another 5, 6, 7 million distressed private student loan borrowers in the country. So, guys, we're talking about 45 million distressed student loan borrowers who are losing sleep at night over their loans. They were never going to be able to repay their loans even before the pandemic. And we vote. I mean, 45 million people is damn near enough to elect a president outright. Like, do you not understand how strong we could be? Even on this group, we've got 1.4 million people. That's like nearly 2% of all student loan borrowers. I wish it was more. And I hope that you will spread the word about our petition at change.org/cancel student loans. But yeah, guys, we are just massively strong, but that's completely meaningless unless you sitting there do what it takes to help us flex our muscle. And the minimum that you will do are our daily actions. So bit.ly /SLJ daily action, or just go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and just look at the top and it says daily actions and do a couple of weeks worth of our daily actions. It's mostly Twitter stuff, guys. It's like retweet this, retweet that. That's like today's daily action was literally that. Retweet this, retweet that. It will take you probably as long as it took me to say that to do it. So we try to make it very easy for you guys, And these tweets are extremely well thought out. They're very strategic. They're smart. So with 1.4 million people doing them a day, we would explode. And by the way, if 1.4 million people were doing retweeting our stuff and maybe making sometimes we do phone calls to Washington, D.C. If 1.4 million people were making phone calls to Washington, D.C., we would explode. I mean, we would quickly gain probably millions or tens of millions more people in our group. It would be a virtuous cycle. Do you not understand what I'm saying? It would build on each other. But that is only going to happen when you get off your ass and quit reading Forbes fucking magazine, pardon my French. They're garbage. Quit reading the entire mainstream media, quite frankly. All the media has been captured, guys. It's been turned against us for all intents and purposes. We get lucky from time to time, but we can't count on the media, guys. The only thing that we can count on are ourselves. Now, we know the path, guys. We know that we're not going to see meaningful loan cancellation unless and until we get the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy back. You can be calling for loan cancellation all day long for the next 5 years. And as long as bankruptcy remains gone, they will do whatever they want to do, not what they have to do. The Founding Fathers were very smart when they called for uniform bankruptcy laws in the Constitution. And this student loan monstrosity is exactly what the founders wanted to avoid. So the Founding Fathers are on our side, guys. The Constitution is on our side.
Exactly what...
So I see we have a couple comments here. Hey, Gordon Wayne Watson, Florida. Hey, Gordon. Present and accounted for, only 3 seconds late. Hello, Captain Alan Collins and crew. Hey, Gordon. Leslie Fishman. I can't keep up. It's insanity. Leslie, I try and keep a clear mind about this whole student loan thing. When we first started student loan justice in 2005, maybe there would be one, maybe two, possibly, but usually just one or even none, articles written about student loans in all the newspapers, all the magazines, all the TV shows, like 1 or 2 per month at the most. Today, there's probably around 10 to 15 to maybe 20 a day. So if you want to talk about overwhelmed and stuff, welcome to my world. I feel your pain, Leslie. I was I was overwhelmed by this thing by about, I'd say, 2011 or 12. Like that's when the wheels uh, really started falling off the wagon. But um, let's keep it all in perspective, guys. These are just student loans. Lending systems fail from time to time, guys. They just do. It's been true throughout human history. This one, student loans, it's kind of a big deal, but really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. Student loans are owned by the federal government, so they're stovepiped off from Wall Street. It's not like the national economy is going to crash when they cancel the loans. In fact, the opposite will happen. The economy will be stimulated. Um, and does that sort of open the floodgates for who knows what as far as funding colleges going forward? Oh, yeah, it does. And that's long overdue, quite frankly. The colleges, in my humble opinion, have been making a king's ransom on this scam. And so has the federal government has been making a king's ransom in profit on this scam. And it is a scam. Make no mistake. You know, when LBJ and the Congress of 1965 rolled this program out, they said, LBJ, the direct quote from the signing ceremony was, and we can make student loans free of interest, he said. Well, today, in a typical year, over $100 billion a year clicks off on our asses in interest alone. The federal government was never supposed to make a profit on this thing. So don't feel bad. We, the borrowers, did not wreck this lending system. This lending system tried to wreck us. And the proudest, most patriotic thing that anybody can do is help us fight. Fight for yourself, yeah, but fight for tens, hundreds of millions of people who also either have student loans or will be getting student loans soon in the generations to come. If we don't fight for them. It's a fight worth fighting. And remember also, guys, there's some very bad people in Washington, D.C. and Wall Street. There just are. And if they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, and they can if we let them, they will. They will make medical debt, credit cards, you name it. They will make all loans, all consumer loans they can possibly think of. They will make them similarly non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. And at that point, we become a conquered, essentially a vassal state to the plutocracy or the oligarchs or whatever you want to call it, the wealthy elite in and around Washington, D.C. and Manhattan and other places. We don't have to put up with this bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. And you need to help us fight because nobody else will fight. I've seen the other groups out there claiming to be fighting. They're freaking corrupted, guys. They're corrupted. They're not real. They're not real, actual grassroots groups. Like one of the groups literally uses its group as hunting grounds to prey upon its members. And I'm only laughing because it's so fucking terrible. Otherwise, I'd be crying. These people they have no interest in actually solving the student loan problem, guys. They are pimping the student loan problem. They're making too much money on the student loan problem to actually want to solve the student loan problem. Remember that. It's important. And, other groups we see saying very negative things about returning bankruptcy to student loans, like the Debt Collective. And I'm sorry to have to say this, ladies and gentlemen, but it's hard to tell where the Debt Collective ends and the debt collection industry begins. The Debt Collective does huge business transactions with the student loan collection industry. And the student loan collection industry's number one goal, their North Star, their manna from heaven, is seeing these loans turned back on and bankruptcy rights remaining gone from the loans. That's what the collection industry wants. And they are very close to their fantasy coming true. But their fantasy is a nightmare for us, guys. It's going to be a bloodbath. if they turn these loans back on, and we do not have, at a minimum, the floor of fairness, of leverage that bankruptcy is. It's a very serious game that's being played on us, guys. And if you're not fighting it on our side, then we're losing it because of your inaction. And I'm sorry, but that's true. So buck up if you want to solve this problem. We're a working, fighting group, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Leslie and Jackie Abram and Nicholas and Utah and Gordon, so many people. I can't mention them all, thousands of people. But we can't pull your weight for you. These are your loans. This is your problem. And I'm talking to the new people in the group, or the wallflowers out there who never do anything, never say anything. We cannot pull your weight for you. This is a very easily won battle that we're in. It's actually a war, very easily won war. But we can only it's only going to happen when you show up. And guys, if there was another group out there actually fighting this battle the way it needs to be fought, I would take this thing behind me and throw in the garbage. There's not. That group is us, like it or not. And sorry, but that just is what it is. So I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I've been overwhelmed for over a decade now. I think maybe other people on this group need to own this problem a little bit and step up to the plate, because as corny as it sounds, the country actually needs you in this battle. And there's no better place to be fighting this battle than here with us. If you want to do it as an army of one, well, go to it. I salute you, and I urge you to do that. But you got to fight in the smart way, and the smart way starts with fighting for the return of bankruptcy rights to the loans, and not serving ourselves up on a platter to the student debt collection industry. So this is a very real battle, guys, and the consequences are very real, and the stakes are very high and very real for you. And I honestly don't know what more I can say. I'm not going to beg you to help us fight. These are your loans. This is your problem. But you got to get off your ass. And here Jackie Abram in Texas says, I wish everyone would do their part. Yes, exactly. Jackie's been tearing it up in Texas. She's gotten 15 or 20 letters to the editor published across the state. She's arranged many meetings with very important legislators in Texas and other places, Texas is a very big state. Jackie can't solve Texas's student loan problem on her own. She needs you to help her, particularly if you're in Texas. On that note, I should also say, join your state chapter. We have 50 functioning, fairly functioning state chapter groups. They need you. They need you there, helping them. Nicholas Linky says, written 8 letters to the editor today. Oh, good. Yeah, Nicholas has gotten at least 2 letters to the editor that I'm aware of, published in the state of Utah. And he's also arranged multiple meetings between us and legislators. We need to meet with every sitting member of Congress. So both of your senators and your House rep, we need to meet with. Call them. Make a meeting happen. Ask to speak with their judiciary staffer. And tell them you want to bring us onto the call. Bring me onto the call. I do this stuff all day long, guys. I can do most or all the talking if you want me to. You can give my name, Alan Collins, my phone number, 202-594-1120. You can give my email address, justice, or actually Alan, ALAN, at studentloanjustice.org. I'm very happy to come on and give an expert briefing to any and all congressional staffers or congressmen or senators. I'm very good at this stuff, guys. It does me no good to be sitting here talking to the wall. I'd much rather be talking to your House rep and both of your senators. But you got to set those things up, because I'm not a constituent. You are. You got to set it up so we can knock it down. So Jackie also says, yes, we need to put pressure on everyone on this group. Get your butts in gear so we can win this battle, right? Like, how long have you been saddled with your student loans? I'm guessing, if you're watching this, probably at least a decade. Is that not enough? Are you not ready to start fighting now and not sit there and take whatever they give you? Like, are you a chump? Well, you're watching me, so obviously, there's at least some kind of a spark in you that wants to fight this battle. But talking about it and doing it are two very different things. Um, so okay, guys, you know what? I think I've gone on just slightly longer than I was planning on tonight, so I'm gonna wrap it up at that. Maybe the last thing I'll say before I sign off is, again, we can fight this battle on almost no money, guys. We can't do it on nothing. If you could donate $10 tonight, if 7 people could donate $10, I think it is, that would be very helpful at this time. And please just donate so I can shut up about it. I suck at fundraising, guys. We don't need almost anything to fight and win this battle, but we can't do it on absolutely nothing. So okay, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm getting some weird warnings from Facebook. Spread the word about this group. Word of mouth is the only thing that we have. The only thing. Word of your mouth is the only way that this group is going to grow. We're onto something here. You need to tell a friend. Everybody with student loans needs to know about us. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck, Godspeed, and God bless.